On this 2015 to 2025 F150 with the 2.7 EcoBoost, P0351 points us toward the primary control side of the ignition coil circuit for coil A, which lines up with cylinder 1. The truck may run rough, may misfire, and can feel like that cylinder has been shut down. Broadly, we are looking at possible coil power, ground, coil driver wiring, connector fit, the coil itself, and only after testing, possible PCM involvement. Keep the scope tight here. P0351 is a primary circuit failure code. A secondary ignition coil problem or spark plug problem by itself does not set P0351. Also, when this type of primary coil fault sets, the PCM can shut down the injector for the affected cylinder to protect the catalyst, so do not chase the injector while this code is active. Before testing, make sure the suspect coil connector is fully seated and clicks in place. Do not disconnect a coil-on plug while the engine is running, and do not try to adjust or check base ignition timing. Timing is controlled by the PCM. Start with the basic system checks, key on, and see what codes are actually present. If other codes are present, check what they mean first and make sure they are part of the same ignition primary fault group before you go deeper. For this P0351 path on the 2.7 EcoBoost, the circuit testing moves into the suspect coil power, ground, and driver checks. If your diagnostic path has you checking coil driver function first, shut the ignition off. Disconnect the suspect coil connector, remove the fuel pump fuse to disable the pump, and connect a deluxe NOID light and signal test light set ASD 7898 or equivalent between the COP and VPWR circuits at the suspect coil harness connector. Crank the engine and watch the NOID light. If it blinks consistently, move to checking the coil itself. If it does not blink consistently, go into the circuit checks. For the coil check, inspect the coil case and boot for carbon tracking, cracks, torn boots, or incorrect installation. Remove the suspect COP from the spark plug. Connect an adjustable ignition spark tester THX 458 or equivalent. Reconnect the coil connector. Set the tester to 40 kV. Crank the engine 3 times, then set it to 25-28 kV and crank while watching for spark. The important decision is spark at 25-28 kV. If spark is present there, this path does not confirm a failed coil primary output at that point, so move to the next appropriate diagnostic path for the remaining symptom. If spark is not present, install a new coil, and if necessary, install a new spark plug. Then clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. If the concern or code is still present, continue to the PCM operation check later in the path. Next, check VPWR at the suspect coil. With the ignition off, disconnect the suspect coil connector, then turn the ignition on. On the 2.7 EcoBoost, use the suspect coil connector pin locations for the coil being tested and measure VPWR at pin 3. You can use a 12-volt non-powered test lamp to verify vehicle power at the ignition coil harness connector. The decision point is whether the measured voltage is greater than 10.5 V. If it is not greater than 10.5 V, repair the open circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If VPWR is good, move to the ground circuit. With ignition off, measure the suspect coil ground circuit at pin 2. The resistance needs to be less than 5 ohms. If it is not less than 5 ohms, repair the open circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the ground is good, disconnect the PCM connector and the suspect coil connector. Then check the suspect coil driver circuit for an open between the PCM connector and coil connector pin 1. For the 2.7 EcoBoost, the coil driver resistance also needs to be less than 5 ohms. If it is not less than 5 ohms, repair the open circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the power, ground, and driver continuity checks pass, stay on the coil driver circuit and check for a short to voltage. Turn the ignition on and measure the suspect coil driver circuit at pin 1. If any voltage is present, repair the short circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If no voltage is present, check the same driver circuit for a short to ground with the ignition off. The resistance needs to be greater than 10,000 ohms. If it is not greater than 10,000 ohms, repair the short circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the concern or code is still present after that repair, continue to the coil damage check. Also keep this caution in mind. When a primary coil is damaged because of a harness short to ground or short to voltage, that does not automatically mean the PCM is damaged. Do not replace the PCM unless coil driver function has been verified through the diagnostic path. After the circuit checks pass, check the suspect coil for damage with the spark tester. Connect the PCM connector. Connect the adjustable ignition spark tester THX 458 or equivalent to the suspect coil. Set the tester to 40 kV and crank the engine 3 times. Then set the tester to 25-28 kV, crank the engine, and monitor spark. If spark is present at 25-28 kV, install a new spark plug if necessary, then clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. If spark is not present, install a new coil, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the concern or DTC is still present after that, check PCM operation. Disconnect all PCM connectors, inspect for pushed-out pins and corrosion, then reconnect all PCM connectors and make sure they seat correctly. Verify whether the concern is still present. If it is still present after those connector checks, install a new powertrain control module. If the concern is gone, the system is operating correctly at that time, and the issue may have been caused by a loose or corroded connector. Keep verification separate from the testing. After any open circuit repair, short circuit repair, coil installation, spark plug installation if needed, PCM connector correction, or PCM installation, clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. The repair is not finished until the fault stays gone under the checked conditions. The takeaway is simple. Diagnose P0351 as a primary coil circuit problem first, prove power, ground, and driver integrity, confirm coil output only where the path calls for it, and do not condemn the PCM until the circuit and coil driver checks support that move. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.